What is going on, everybody? Back again today, and as you can tell by the title of this video, we're going to be talking about some of the better Warhammer 40,000 video games that are out there. I've said it in several videos so far that I've been a Warhammer 40,000 fan since I was 19 years old, but I've never really been very big into the tabletop game. In fact, I've never been into the tabletop game at all. In fact, I just recently was convinced by a friend of mine to try painting a miniature. And so I bought a basic Space Marine, Ultramarine, Primaris Ultramarine, and I painted him. The camera's not doing a great job of picking him up and showing all the details, but I'm actually pretty impressed with myself. I surprised myself in how well I painted him, and I liked the experience enough, and I'm happy with the outcome enough to the point where I'm going to go ahead and paint a second one and probably a third one, and we'll just see where it goes from there. Maybe I'll end up with an entire army. Maybe I'll get into playing the tabletop game. We'll see. But that's never been my way of being into Warhammer 40,000. Since I discovered Warhammer 40k when I was 19, I discovered it through the books, the Black Library, like sci-fi fantasy novels that they take place in the Warhammer 40,000 universe. I read the Space Wolves Omnibus, the Ultramarines Omnibus, the Caiaphas Cain Omnibus. What else? I read there was a Space Marine Battles book about the Black Templars called like Hell's Reach or something like that, Armageddon. I read that. I've read Dark Imperium. I've read a lot of the books. And I've also played quite a few of the video games, which is what we're going to be talking about here today, because there are, for those of you who kind of like Warhammer 40,000 interests you, but the idea of like spending the money and more importantly, I think the time. I'm gonna have a video coming out soon about what really keeps people from getting into the Warhammer 40k tabletop game, because people talk all the time about like, oh, is it affordable? Is it too expensive? It's not so much the money as it's the money to time ratio. Like, yes, it is expensive, but I don't think that's really the problem. It's the amount of money that you're going to pay to get into it, and then on top of that huge amount of money, you also have to put in a huge amount of time. If it was less money or less time to get into it, I think it would be more popular. I think more people would be into it. But there are other ways. Like I said, the books, and here in this video we're going to talk about some games. So let's go ahead and dive in. I've got I got either like some gameplay trailers or some gameplay footage for each game that we're going to talk about. The first one we're going to talk about is the newest one. It's Warhammer 40,000 Darktide. So let's go ahead and watch the gameplay trailer footage, whatever that I have selected, and we'll go from there.
Master of mankind, may thy light guide us in the darkness. Burn the heretic, kill the mutant, purge the unclean. Master of mankind, grant us strength.
That is Warhammer 40,000 Darktide, and as you can tell from the little bit of gameplay that was in that trailer, it is a first-person shooter, first-person hack and slash melee game, and it is kind of like a I'm trying to think of a game to compare to. The premise of the game is you pick a class. There are, I think, 4, and it's kind of like Borderlands, where like each one of the classes has like one unique special ability that you can use when it's fully charged up. And then other than that, you can customize your character with like passive ability perks that you can put points into, such as like, faster reload time and all that kind of shit. And then you can customize your character with weapons, different guns, different melee weapons, a lot of different stuff like that. And then basically you're just the plot of the game is you're this imperial citizen. You were a prisoner. You were wrongfully accused of like heresy and being a anti-emperor and imperium. You're actually not. You're totally cool with the emperor. You love the imperium. And then your prison barge ship that you're on gets attacked by a chaos cult as it's going past this planet or whatever, and there's a chaos incursion on your ship. You fight your way out of that, and you end up on the planet where there's this hive city. I'm forgetting the name of the hive city in the game, but the hive city is being overrun by a chaos infestation from it's Nurgle. Nurgle's becoming popular these days because Nurgle is the chaos god that you can do zombies with. In modern times, we kind of associate zombies less with the supernatural and more with the science fiction. If you look at a lot of like zombie movies and TV shows, the zombies are caused by a virus or an infection of some kind, rather than like a curse or a supernatural element. So, and Nurgle is the chaos god of like disease and plagues. So yeah, zombie virus, plague god, it kind of goes in hand. It allows them to do zombies. So you're in this hive city and you undertake missions. The missions have various objectives. All right. You choose a mission. It pairs you up with some people. You can play single player or multiplayer, but multiplayer is much more fun. This game's meant for multiplayer, and it's all multiplayer games are. It's much better if you play it with like 3 or 4 friends that like you actually know. You're not just like random people you met up with online. And yeah, you just undertake these missions, and during these missions, it's like go plant these explosives, sabotage this device, extract this code material, whatever. So you're basically just fighting your way through hordes and hordes of just chaos cultists and chaos zombies, and you're using your weapons and your abilities and your skills and your teamwork to fight through the hordes and accomplish the goals of the objectives of the mission. And then you go back to your main base and you spend your rewards and your points on new upgrades for passive abilities and new weapons, and then you repeat the process. It's fun. It is infinitely more fun with people and friends to play with. I bought it. I've been playing it. I have it on PC through Steam, and yeah, single player playing it by yourself, it gets boring quick. But with friends, it's a lot more fun. I have tested this game out on the Steam Deck. It will run, but it's going to really push your Steam Deck. Honestly, it's a high performance game. It pushes my gaming laptop to its limits, and it runs on the Steam Deck, but it's going to drain your battery fast. You're going to have to like downgrade your graphics settings. You're probably going to have to cap it at 30 FPS, and yeah, but I've gotten it to work. I have played it on the Steam Deck. So the next game we're going to talk about, and we're kind of doing these out of order. This is a real-time strategy game, Warhammer 40,000 Dawn of War 2. It is the sequel to Warhammer 40,000 Dawn of War, which is a very popular... Warhammer 40,000 Dawn of War might be the quintessential Warhammer 40,000 video game. It's a real-time strategy game similar to StarCraft, except it's Warhammer 40,000. But the one we're about to look at here is the sequel. It's Warhammer 40,000 Dawn of War 2. It is a bit different game than Dawn of War 1, but let's just check out some gameplay footage and go from there.
That are out in the open. Oh my God, enough for you! Welcome, Commander. This is Captain Davian Thule, in command here on Calderis. We are battling the orcs that threaten this world. zone. I am north of you with several squads of our initiates. We are under heavy fire and losing control of our flanks. Move north and provide support. Bring him out!
Tactical repositioning.
Boy! Some of the Ubies come behind us! Kill them!
Tactical squad, return fire. Target destroyed. This way, brothers.
Take cover! Right here! Come over here and fight it! Orcs ahead of you are trying to outflank us. Eliminate them.
Move into that position. Target those near the tactical squad. Return fire. Grenade on target. Target killed. Tactics with me, brother. Kill the green skin. Tactical squad, return fire. Grenade on target.
Alright. Push forward, initiate.
Get to that position, brothers. Destroy them. Attack formation, brothers. Green skin eliminated. Under attack.
Well fought, Commander. But the Greenskins will not give us much time before they attack again. I need you. Brothers!
So, yeah, that was a look at Warhammer 40,000 Dawn of War 2. That was like the very opening like little campaign mission that you play in the game. You play as the Bloodraven Space Marine chapter in the main campaign of the first like core game. And yeah, as you could see, you have your little it's a real-time strategy game, but it's not like the typical StarCraft or whatnot where you build like a base with like your headquarters and your barracks and your like vehicle generating factory. You don't build a base. You just have your units. You have your different units, and each unit is commanded by, it's made up of like, you know, a few different soldiers or whatever, and then you have like your hero unit, and that's your actual like character within that unit. The character will have a special ability. Like you saw the main character had like this ability where if you clicked it, he would buff surrounding soldiers around him with like his like heroic aura or some shit like that. And then the other one had an ability where every once in a while he could throw a grenade, he could lob a grenade into a big group of enemies. You go forward in the game, you acquire more allies, more units, more hero characters with different abilities, and there's actually a role-playing aspect to this game where you can, throughout the maps as you go through playing the game, you can acquire new war gear, new guns, new melee weapons, new pieces of armor, and your hero units, your actual like, hero character units, you can equip them with different armor that has different stats, different weapons that has different stats. It's actually a fun, unique way of doing a real-time strategy game. Anyone that's played Company of Heroes or Company of Heroes 2, you're going to notice a lot of stuff in here similar to those games because it's made by the same company, as it turns out. You might have noticed how you can select like where you want to put your units. Like you can select a unit of Space Marines and you can put them behind like a little, you know, section of rocks that kind of can act as cover. You saw like the three dots on the ground around the rock structures or whatever, the green dots mean that like, oh, that's where your units will stand and they'll be in cover there. If the dots are red, that means they're going to be susceptible to enemy fire. Yada yada yada. It's a fun game and it's a different take on the RTS genre. It never quite got as popular as Dawn of War 1, but it's still a fun game and I recommend people checking it out. So the next one is Dawn of War 1. This is the first time that they tried to do a real-time strategy game based in the Warhammer 40,000 universe, and it was a huge success. People love this game. It might be the quintessential Warhammer 40,000 game. There are a ton of different expansions to it. With all of the expansions, you basically have access to all the different factions. In the core game, you've got Space Marines, Chaos Marines, and Orcs. And there are 2 expansions that add, I want to say, Necrons, Imperial Guard, Eldar. I don't know if Tyranids ever get added, but you've got access to a lot of the different factions. So let's go ahead and watch some gameplay footage for Dawn of War 1.
Brothers, let us destroy this alien filth!
Moving out.
What a glorious day for a Emperor protects. As the stronghold, our frontline battle headquarters is currently being assembled. Beware. We should proceed with caution until it is finished. We must start capturing strategic points.
Onward
These 3
to
closest
glory.
strategic points will do for now.
Understood.
Let us capture them first,
Objective
and then
on.
move on to the others. While the enemies of the Emperor still draw breath. Splendid. The stronghold is
fire.
complete. What would you? We must now set about establishing a proper frontline base.
Here to serve. I will do yes to ask.
The area
The
is
first
secure.
thing we need is a chapel barracks.
Ever vigilant.
That will allow us to call down more Space Marine
Maintain attack
squads.
formation.
Praise the Emperor.
For the Emperor. Fear denies faith. Weapons at ready. It is time. Onward to glory. Take and hold.
This day shall be a glorious one for the Imperium. On alert, brothers. The enemy must be nearby. Excellent. The chapel barracks is finished. Now you can build some more Space Marine squads.
I await your instructions. With all due haste.
Taking hits.
Yes, most beneficent one.
Securing
Well
objective.
done. We have captured several strategic points.
Fear
Capturing
denies
strategic
faith.
points and building listening posts on
Orders
them
received.
earns us more requisition resource, which we can use when we build squads and equipment. If we are to defeat these orcs, we will need to call in some special
Ever
weapons.
vigilant.
We must build an
Orders
armory to get
received,
access to
brother.
them softly.
So yeah, that's a look at Warhammer 40,000 Dawn of War and the gameplay that you're going to see there. It's very typical of a real-time strategy game. You're going to build a base, you're going to have your headquarters, you're going to have your barracks where you make more units of like your soldiers, you're going to have your vehicle manufacturing building where you can generate tanks and stuff like that. You are going to have to build like generators that there's 2 different forms of resources in the game that allow you to build more structures and units. The one resource is mined by building generators. The other resource is simply gathered by capturing those strategic points that you heard them saying in the gameplay footage we just watched. The more strategic points on the map that you have captured, the quicker you generate more of that other resource type. So capturing strategic points is necessary to be building more stuff. Big differences between Dawn of War 1 and Dawn of War 2, as you've noticed, is like I said, since in Dawn of War 1 you're going to be building your own base, that's where you can build whatever units you want to build. If you want tactical marine squads, you can build tactical marine squads. If you want assault squads or devastator squads, you can build what you want. As far as vehicles go, you can make dreadnoughts, you can make Leman Russ tanks, you can make whatever you want. You can kind of build your army, your force that you're going to fight with your way. In Dawn of War 2, the game kind of gives you the units and you just have to make do with what the game gives you. It's a little more like, it challenges you a little bit more to be strategic because you don't have as much to work with. However, some people don't really like the lack of creativity and what's the word I'm looking for? Sort of like play it your way. Me personally, I prefer Dawn of War 1. I would rather have the freedom to make whatever units I want to make and play them how I want to play them rather than have to just, use what I'm given by the Dawn of War 2 game. They're both good games, but like I said, there's a reason that Dawn of War 1 has always been the most popular. So the next game we're going to take a look at, this is called Warhammer 40,000 Inquisitor Martyr. This is an action role-playing game similar to like the Diablo style games, if anyone's played Grim Dawn, Torchlight, stuff like that. So let's go ahead and check it out.
Warhammer 40k Inquisitor Martyr places the secret agents of the grim future into an action RPG and pits them against the various enemies of mankind. Your mission is to purge the Imperium of men from corruption, and to achieve this goal, you must fight. In this violent universe, battles are not only vicious and bloody, but they also feel as real as possible. Just like the fully destructible environments in the game, combat serves as a visually spectacular reminder that in this future, there is only war. Every bolter shot, every chainsword strike has an impact. Hits slow down enemies. Grenade blasts will send heretics flying. Opponents fall down and try to get back on their feet. Unholy armor shatters to pieces. Carnage ensues. In addition to all that, the more challenging fights just got some extra flavour. Aimed attacks at giant foes can destroy body parts, getting rid of special abilities. By shooting off a weapon arm, you can make sure that you're at least safe from the deadly fire. Take your time and hack those monsters apart, piece by piece. The game evokes a sense of brutal warfare where no one is safe. You can use that to your advantage when you're fighting the filth of chaos. From time to time, you'll face demons that simply don't care about their kin and gladly sacrifice their own in the crossfire. Violence begets violence, and sometimes you'll need to strike down as brutally as possible. Fatality is an integral part of the game, where each class can use special execution moves to finish off most creatures, and they all perish differently. Inquisitor Martyr is not for the faint-hearted. Inquisitors must wade into the thick of the battle where gushing blood spatters on the walls, spilled entrails stains the floor, severed limbs twitch among the fallen bodies. There are countless ways to dispose of the enemies of the mighty Imperium, and in this game, you'll have your chance to try them all. Incinerate your foes, cut them to pieces, blast them to smithereens, or use the elements of the environment against them. In this universe, you need to fight fire with fire, and for this reason, blood and gore plays an important part in Inquisitor Martyr. Welcome to the grim world of Warhammer 40k.
So, yeah, that's Inquisitor Martyr. It's a action RPG game in the same vein as like Diablo, Grim Dawn, Torchlight, stuff like that. You play as an Inquisitor who is on a space Hulk, which is basically a starship that has been like lost in the warp for a very long time, and now it's re-entered real space. So you go over there to kind of check it out, see if any of the crew are still alive. It's full of chaos demons and shit, and you have to cleanse it and kill them all. You acquire new weapons, armor. You guys get the gist. Like I say, it's like a Diablo game. It really is. You're not a space marine, but you are an Inquisitor wearing power armor. So the combat is still fun and it's fluid enough. But playing this game, I did feel that it is a little clunky, might be the best word. Not to the point where I didn't like the game. It's just something that was noticeable. So something to maybe keep in mind. If you like those action RPG games like Diablo, Torchlight, Grim Dawn, Inquisitor Martyr might be for you. So the next one we're going to take a look at is another first-person shooter called Necromunda Hired Gun. We're going to watch the gameplay and then we'll get into it.
Welcome to Necromunda Hired Gun. Here on Necromunda, one of the myriad worlds in the Warhammer 40,000 universe, far off into the darkest future imaginable, you make your living as a bounty hunter. Chase targets, collect payments, upgrade your arsenal, and fight to survive. Hired Gun is a fast-paced, action-packed, wall-running, head-popping, throat-cutting, indie single-player first-person shooter. Created by the small, passionate team of Warhammer enthusiasts at Strumon Studios, it will bring you pure, over-the-top action. Swathes of enemies, a high-powered arsenal, and all the tools you need to combine the two into an entertaining ballet of destruction. Across the rotting agri-farms, industrious chem labs, and ancient strongholds that scatter the Underhive, you will chase your targets as part of the larger, ever-evolving conflict on Necromunda. You're a bounty hunter, so pick your contracts and decide what's worth the money. Necromunda is a violent, brutal place. Nobody will go more than a few feet from their bunk without an assortment of firearms, blades, and ideally backup. You'll be wielding anything and everything from a signature power knife to grenade launchers and gravity weapons. With hordes of men, women, gangs, cultists, and much worse besides arrayed against you, you'll need every shot you can get. When all else fails and the enemy is closing in, you'll find your trusty Cyber Mastiff equipped with his own set of customizable and upgradable augmetics, ready to tear any would-be attackers limb from limb. Plus, he's a very good boy. In your pursuit of bounties, you will find plenty of new weapons, items, and armor. Exploration and secret hunting is key to Hired Gun, and will reward you with chests packed with guns, cash, and other oddities. All loot can be sold for credits after a mission, meaning you keep the best and trade what's left for upgrades to yourself, your dog, and your guns. Necromunda Hired Gun is coming to PlayStation 5, PlayStation 4, Xbox Series, Xbox...
Okay, so that's Necromunda Hired Gun. So, the video did a pretty good job of explaining the game. As you can see, it's a fast-paced first-person shooter. Kind of reminds me of Doom 2016 and Doom Eternal a little bit, but it is a bounty hunter game, so you're going to be picking contracts, and the bounty hunter contracts are kind of like the side missions, and you do a few of those and your rank or your whatever goes up, and then you can move to the next like main story mission. You get new guns, new equipment, and yeah, it's another game. It's kind of like Darktide, first person shooter, fast paced, lots of different guns, customizable loadout, and takes place in a hive city. It is unique in that it's the only game on this list where you get to see this side of the Imperium of Man. You are not playing as a soldier of some sort fighting for the Imperium, and you're not playing as an enemy of the Imperium. You're playing as an average citizen of the Imperium who just lives in this hive city called Necromunda, and this is your life. That's your profession, your trade. You're a bounty hunter, and this is what your day-to-day life is like. So that's what is interesting about it, is because Warhammer 40,000, the tagline is, "In the grim darkness of the far future, there is only war," and it started out as a tabletop war game. So the fact that this plot is not this game is not centered around a war or war at all in general, it's just centered around your character, the bounty hunter, and their day-to-day life as a bounty hunter in the 40k universe. That's unique. It's something you don't really get a lot from Warhammer 40k, so it might be worth checking out. The next game we're going to look at is called Space Hulk Deathwing. It is another first-person shooter. It's the third one on this list. I know, just bear with me. Let's check out the gameplay and go from there.
I ask myself what it means to be one of the Dark Angels. Is it to pursue our quest at any expense, foregoing all other oaths and duties? Is it to lie, to hide and to plot, so that others will not know our shame? Is it to follow the path laid down by the Emperor at the founding of the great Imperium of Man? I ask myself what it means to be one of the Dark Angels. It is to be the honored First Legion, the Emperor's wrath, the Sons of the Lion. Repent, for tomorrow you die!
Alright, so that's Space Hulk Deathwing. First-person shooter, very similar to Darktide. Differences are going to be is that in this game you are actually playing as a Space Marine. More specifically, you're playing as a Terminator Space Marine. You're in Terminator armor. So if you know what those are in Warhammer 40,000, you think they're cool, maybe this game's for you. And you're not fighting Chaos Cultists like you are in Darktide. You're not fighting zombies. You're fighting Tyranids and Gene Stealers on board a Space Hulk. So it's kind of like they took, well, this game came out a little while ago, but it's almost like a combination between Inquisitor, Martyr, and Darktide, but with Tyranid Gene Stealers as the enemy. You know, Inquisitor, Martyr, you are cleansing a Space Hulk, and in Darktide, you're cleansing a Hive City. Darktide being the first-person shooter, it's got elements of both. Like I said, the special thing about Space Hulk Deathwing is you're playing a Dark Angels Terminator from the Deathwing company, and it's pretty badass. It can be fun. So, like the trailer showed you, there's plenty of customization and different weapons and whatnot that you can use. So, if Darktide looked fun to you, this game you will probably also enjoy. I believe that might be it. Oh, there's one more game. All right, so this last game that we're going to talk about here is a flawed masterpiece. It is a game that is loved by a lot of the Warhammer 40,000 community. However, it did not do too well commercially or critically when it came out. It had mixed reviews, and it didn't exactly sell a whole lot. It didn't sell well, but it has achieved quite a bit of popularity since the time it came out. It came out in 2011. This is Warhammer 40,000 Space Marine. It is a third-person hack-and-slash shooter in the same vein as like Gears of War almost. But yeah, you play as a Space Marine. You play as Captain Titus of the Ultramarines chapter, and you're fighting orcs and chaos. And yeah, let's watch the gameplay footage, and then we'll get into more of what the game is all about.
Captain, look! The orcs must be operating that crane.
They will not stop until they break through that gate.
We must disable that crane.
So yeah, that is Warhammer 40,000 Space Marine. Very graphically violent, very action-packed, as you can see. However, it lacks a few things. The plot of the game is you are Captain Titus of the Ultramarines, and you are sent to this planet called Graia because it is a manufactorum planet for the Imperium where they manufacture Titans, and it is under attack by orcs, and they cannot allow this world to fall. Its strategic value to the Imperium is absolute, so they dispatch the Ultramarines to go handle this orc invasion. You start out fighting orcs. Spoiler alert here, chaos shows up, and you end up fighting chaos marines and chaos demons as well. So there's that going. I think that adds to the game, makes it more fun. The combat is fine. However, it is not, in my opinion, playing through this game, I felt that it was not balanced well enough between the shooting and the melee. I felt that the game was much more heavily geared towards it. It wanted you to engage in melee combat more than shooting. And the reason for that is because, like, there would be times where you could shoot enemies, but almost inevitably there were too many of them, especially when you were fighting orcs. There were too many of them just rushing at you at one time to where you could shoot for very long. Sooner or later, they were all going to kind of swarm you, and you were going to have to start hacking away with your chainsword or your power axe or whatever you were using at that time as your melee weapon. I would have preferred more of a balance between the shooting and the melee combat, and I also would have preferred, instead of I don't know if you noticed, but on your health bar at the top of the screen, there's like an energy shield almost, kind of like in Halo. Prior to your health being depleted, that shield has to be depleted, and that shield will recharge. If you go long enough without taking any damage, that shield will recharge. Rather than have that, I would have preferred a cover system similar to Gears of War, to where you can run and maneuver and take cover behind stuff, shoot out from behind it, and then if you get swarmed, pull away from the cover and start hacking shit apart with the chainsword. I would have preferred that rather than just like I am rather than being immune to damage because you have this like energy shield. Because in Warhammer 40,000, yes, if your character has an iron halo that's generating some sort of like energy shield, then yes, they have it. But most Space Marines in Warhammer 40,000 do not have an energy shield. That's not a thing. They just have their armor, and they do have to avoid being shot. They can't just like, fuck it, I don't care about getting shot. Ting, 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 bullets bounce off of me. No, some do. Some weapons are rather useless against Space Marine armor, but there's plenty of them that will punch through it. So they're not just like walking tanks. They do have to take cover. They do have to be a little more strategic and tactical, and they do have to try and avoid getting shot. And I wish that was more represented in this game. However, it's still fun. There is a sequel to it that's going to be coming out here this year in 2023, Space Marine 2. In that game, rather than fighting orcs or chaos, as far as we know, we're going to be fighting Tyranids. It looks sick. It looks awesome. I cannot wait. But I highly recommend you check out Space Marine. If you like Space Marines in general, and you're kind of like the Imperium person, you wish there was a really good game to play as a Space Marine, there is. It's Warhammer 40,000 Space Marines, so check that out. And yeah, that's my list of really good Warhammer 40,000 games to try out and give a shot. If you're looking for more Warhammer 40,000 stuff to be into, and like I said, like the tabletop game just doesn't seem like it's for you, and you know you've already maybe you're not a big reader, you don't want to read books, or maybe you've already tried reading some books and you just want something more, check out one or more of these games that I just recommended in this list. I'm sure you'll find at least one, more than likely more than one, out of this list of games I just showed that really entertain you and you have a fun time playing with. So yeah, if you enjoyed this video, please let me know in the comments below, get a discussion started, and hit that like button. That really helps out my channel. If you want to help out my channel even further, check out some of my other videos and subscribe. Other than that, I will talk to you guys later.